Imagine for a moment that you could possess a wealth so vast, it would make even the richest people in the world feel impoverished by comparison. But this wealth isn't counted in banknotes or precious metals. It's a treasure that's been sought after for thousands of years, and yet it's within the grasp of each and every one of us. Welcome to a wealth paradigm shift, courtesy of Stoic philosophy. The topic we're diving into today is one that we all, consciously or unconsciously, wrestle with every single day: wealth. No, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about a conception of wealth that goes beyond material possessions, an idea so deeply entrenched in our psyche that it governs our decisions, actions, and even our state of happiness. The question is, can ancient Stoic wisdom, a philosophy from over 2 millennia ago, provide insights into how we, modern people living in a radically different world, can acquire wealth? But before we start our exploration, let me take a step back and explain why this topic is so relevant today. We live in an age where the headlines are filled with stories of self-made millionaires and billionaires, skyrocketing stock markets, cryptocurrencies, and seemingly endless opportunities for financial gain. Yet, despite these seemingly abundant resources and pathways to wealth, the majority of people are struggling financially. The global divide between the rich and poor is growing, financial anxiety is rampant, and there is a general sense of unease and dissatisfaction, even among those who are well off. There is clearly a missing piece to this wealth puzzle, and the repercussions are not just financial, but emotional and psychological. The purpose of this video is to unearth that missing piece by exploring the Stoic approach to acquiring wealth. Stoicism is a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece and was popularized by philosophers such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. You may be familiar with some of its core tenets: embracing rationality, understanding what we can and cannot control, practicing virtues like courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. Stoicism teaches us how to live a life of virtue and emotional resilience, but can it also guide us in the modern complexities of wealth creation and management? Is it possible to reconcile the Stoic pursuit of inner peace and virtue with the contemporary ambition for financial security and prosperity? Can we align the Stoic virtues with modern financial strategies and investment philosophies? These are the pressing questions we'll tackle as we aim to unravel a complete Stoic guide to becoming wealthy. When we discuss wealth from a Stoic perspective, we're not only speaking about an accumulation of assets. We're talking about wealth in terms of time, relationships, contentment, and yes, inner peace and happiness. A kind of wealth that's not fleeting but sustainable, not narrow but expansive, not exclusive but available to each and every one of us, regardless of where we are starting from. If you've ever felt that there's got to be a deeper, more fulfilling approach to wealth, or if you've ever been curious about how Stoic philosophy can be applied to other areas of your life, then stick around. We're about to embark on an intellectual journey that will challenge you to redefine what true wealth means. But be warned, the road ahead is not for the faint of heart. You'll be confronted with thought-provoking ideas that might challenge your existing beliefs about money, success, and happiness. If you're ready to challenge the status quo and venture into a realm where philosophy meets finance, then you're in the right place. So, grab a notebook, put on your thinking cap, and get ready to dig deep. We're about to explore the intricacies of Stoicism and its teachings on becoming truly wealthy. Prepare yourself for a transformative experience that might just change the way you perceive wealth, happiness, and success forever. In our modern lexicon, the term wealth often conjures up images of fancy cars, sprawling mansions, designer clothing, and endless vacations in exotic locations. It's intrinsically tied to material accumulation, the stuff you can pile up during your lifetime. But let's take a moment and ask ourselves, what does wealth really mean? How would you define it? Chances are, each one of us may have a slightly different answer to this question, and therein lies the crux of our dilemma. We're operating on different planes when it comes to understanding what wealth truly is. Now, let's extend this question further and ask, how did the Stoics define wealth? To understand Stoic philosophy's viewpoint, we need to look at wealth through a broader lens, one that expands beyond mere material possession. According to Stoicism, there are two types of wealth, material and immaterial. Material wealth includes all the tangible resources you can accumulate: money, property, and goods. This is the kind most people aim for, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it, according to Stoic thinking. It serves practical purposes, it can ease many of life's challenges, and it's natural for humans to seek comfort and security. However, the Stoics were far more interested in what they considered to be true wealth, which they defined as wealth of the soul. This immaterial wealth is composed of virtues, wisdom, peace of mind, and emotional resilience. Seneca, a Roman philosopher and a statesman, emphasized that no one can rob us of this internal wealth. It's immune to market crashes, political upheavals, and natural disasters. In his essays and letters, Seneca vividly describes how this wealth of the soul is what provides us true freedom and happiness. Material wealth can be stolen, it can decay or be devalued, but virtues like wisdom, courage, and justice are ours to keep, without any depreciation. Why do the Stoics insist that this intangible form of wealth is more important than material riches? Stoicism teaches that the quality of our lives is determined not by our external circumstances, but by our internal state. Your perception, judgments, and reactions to the world around you create the life you experience. This concept is echoed in the words of Marcus Aurelius, another prominent Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, who stated that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. It implies that true wealth starts from within, from the soul. This immaterial wealth equips us to deal more effectively with the chaos of the external world, and it grants us a certain kind of invincibility where we are not easily swayed by life's ups and downs. This viewpoint becomes even more relevant when we consider the unpredictability of material wealth. Take a moment to think about the numerous millionaires and billionaires who faced immense scandals, bankruptcies, or financial losses overnight. On the flip side, consider those who, despite limited material means, live an enriched life filled with love, joy, and purpose. That's the Stoic wealth of the soul in action. As Epictetus, a philosopher who was born a slave and later gained his freedom, asserted, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." In other words, while we may have limited control over material wealth, we have absolute control over our inner wealth. You might wonder how this perspective of wealth integrates with our modern-day financial goals and pursuits. Is it impractical to aim for a wealth of the soul when we have bills to pay, mouths to feed, and dreams to finance? The answer lies in the balance and wisdom that Stoicism brings to the table. Stoic philosophy doesn't discourage material wealth. Rather, it emphasizes the importance of not becoming enslaved to it or letting it define your self-worth. Striving for material wealth becomes a problem when it consumes you, destabilizes your emotions, or drives you to compromise your virtues. In essence, Stoicism advises us to strive for material wealth as a means to an end, not as an end in itself. Therefore, the Stoic definition of wealth isn't an either-or proposition. It doesn't mean choosing between being wealthy in material goods or wealthy in virtue. Instead, it offers a more holistic approach, urging us to internalize virtues and wisdom as a means to navigate the complexities of acquiring material wealth in a virtuous manner. Understanding this perspective on wealth offers a deeper, more nuanced view. It challenges us to not only expand our assets, but also enrich our souls, thus achieving a balanced, resilient, and fulfilling life. And as we move further into this guide, we'll see how this Stoic blueprint can be practically applied to amass both material and immaterial wealth, creating a life that's not just rich, but also profoundly meaningful. We've laid down the foundation by discussing what wealth means from a Stoic perspective. Now let's focus on something fundamental in Stoic philosophy, the 4 Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. How do these virtues play a role in accumulating not just wealth of the soul, but also material wealth? The first virtue we'll examine is wisdom. Stoic wisdom entails knowing what is within our control and what is not, understanding the true nature of things, and making informed decisions based on this understanding. But how does wisdom contribute to wealth? In the realm of financial planning and investment, wisdom is akin to financial literacy. A wise individual knows how to budget, invest, and manage resources effectively. Just like a wise sailor knows when to set sail or stay in the harbor, a wise investor knows when to invest, hold, or pull out of an opportunity. This insight doesn't come merely from raw data or market trends. It stems from a holistic understanding of economics, human behavior, and even self-awareness about one's own risk tolerance and financial goals. Wisdom enables you to sift through the noise in the financial markets, politics, or popular opinion, allowing you to make decisions that are aligned with long-term wealth creation and preservation. Next comes courage. Courage in Stoicism isn't just about physical bravery, but also involves mental fortitude, the courage to face adversity, confront our fears, and live in accordance with our values. So how can courage help you in your financial journey? For starters, the financial world is rife with uncertainties and risks. Whether you're starting a new business venture or investing in the stock market, courage is what enables you to take calculated risks. It's what pushes you to invest in a downturn when everyone else is selling, or to hold on to an investment when market sentiments are against you. Courage helps you break free from the herd mentality that often leads to poor financial decisions. But it's not recklessness. Remember, Stoic courage is always informed by wisdom. It's about making bold moves when your understanding, your wisdom, tells you it's the right thing to do, even if it's the hard thing to do. Now let's talk about justice, the third Stoic virtue. Stoic justice involves fairness, equality, and working for the common good. How does justice play into wealth creation? In the world of business and finance, ethical considerations often take a back seat in the mad rush for profits. However, acting justly in your financial dealings not only adds to your social capital, but also preserves and multiplies your material wealth in the long term. Ethical businesses attract more loyal customers, dedicated employees, and favorable partnerships. Similarly, ethical investment in socially responsible funds, for instance, tends to be more sustainable in the long run. Justice in your financial affairs also shields you from legal issues that could lead to financial ruin. Thus, adhering to a code of ethics, treating employees fairly, offering quality products or services, being honest in financial reporting, all these just actions contribute to a sustainable and profitable business model. Last but not least, we have temperance, which involves self-discipline, moderation, and control over one's impulses. In a consumer culture that constantly encourages instant gratification, how does temperance help? Firstly, temperance is a strong antidote to impulse buying, reckless investment, and debt accumulation. It helps you live within your means and save for your future. In investing, temperance could manifest as a disciplined approach to asset allocation, avoiding the temptation to bet the farm on a hot tip. In business, it could mean the self-control to not overextend your resources or take on more than you can handle. In everyday life, temperance guides you to differentiate between your wants and needs, allowing for a more efficient allocation of your resources. Over time, these tempered decisions compound, offering you not just material wealth, but also the peace of mind that comes from financial security. These Stoic virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, are not just moral guidelines for a virtuous life. They are pragmatic strategies for effective wealth creation and preservation. By integrating these virtues into our financial lives, we lay down a rock-solid foundation for both material and immaterial wealth. we create a sustainable model of wealth generation that is resilient to the inevitable ebbs and flows of life and the market. Remember, the Stoics were not against material wealth, they were against the irrational and unethical pursuit of it. By aligning our financial pursuits with these Stoic virtues, we set ourselves on a path to true wealth, one that enriches not just our bank accounts but also our souls. Now that we've discussed the Stoic virtues and how they can guide us towards creating both material and immaterial wealth, let's address a topic that often breeds confusion and debate. Is money evil? The answer, according to Stoic philosophy, is an emphatic no. Money itself is neutral, but before you jump to conclusions, it's crucial to unpack this idea further. In Stoic terms, money is what they call an indifferent thing. It's neither good nor bad. What matters is our relationship with it, how we acquire it, how we use it, and how we let it affect us. In this section, we'll explore the Stoic argument that while money isn't evil, the love of money and what one does with it can be either virtuous or vicious. You've likely heard the saying, "The love of money is the root of all evil." This phrase echoes what Stoics warned us about, the slippery slope that starts with a disproportionate attachment to wealth. When the pursuit of money becomes an end in itself, rather than a means to an end, that's when we tread into dangerous territory. Stoicism teaches us to maintain an emotional detachment from external goods, money included. Emotional detachment doesn't mean indifference or lack of care. Rather, it's a balanced state where your well-being and sense of self-worth are not tied to your financial status. If money becomes the yardstick by which we measure success, happiness, or self-worth, then we're setting ourselves up for a life driven by anxiety, greed, and endless craving. This emotional dependency on wealth can lead us down a perilous path where our ethical and moral standards may start to waver, causing us to make choices that we might later regret profoundly. Seneca warned us that to be obsessed by the love of money is to be preoccupied with avarice, a frightful evil. So if money isn't inherently evil, it stands to reason that it can be used in both virtuous and vicious ways. How we use our wealth is a testament to our character and virtues or lack thereof. For example, using money to provide for your family, invest in your education, help those in need, or fund ventures that add value to society are virtuous uses of wealth. These actions align with the Stoic virtues of wisdom, knowing the right way to use your resources; justice, using your wealth to promote equality and the common good; and temperance, moderating your own desires to allocate resources responsibly. On the other hand, using money to deceive, exploit, or harm others for personal gain aligns with none of the Stoic virtues and is clearly vicious. Similarly, hoarding wealth for the sake of wealth, living extravagantly while ignoring the needs of others, or indulging in activities that harm your soul, such as excessive hedonism, are also vicious uses of money. In today's world, the Stoic philosophy urges us to be ethical investors and entrepreneurs. As we discussed earlier, the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance provide a moral compass, guiding us in how we should acquire and use wealth. An ethical investor would follow the virtue of wisdom by thoroughly researching before investing, and will have the courage to invest in ventures that align with their values, even if they are unpopular. They would enact justice by choosing investments that contribute positively to society, and exercise temperance by not succumbing to the highs and lows of the financial market. Similarly, an entrepreneur guided by Stoic philosophy would build a business rooted in ethical practices, aiming not just for profitability, but also for societal good. This mindset isn't just noble, it's also smart business. Organizations that are rooted in ethical practices and societal contribution are increasingly finding favor with consumers and are more resilient in times of economic uncertainty. Money, according to Stoicism, is a tool, a resource that can be wielded for both good and bad. It's not money, but our attitudes toward it, our methods of acquiring it, and our ways of using it that determine whether it becomes a force for good or evil in our lives. As Stoics, the quest for wealth becomes virtuous when it aligns with our pursuit of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. When guided by these virtues, money ceases to be a source of potential vice and becomes an enabler of a good, meaningful, and virtuous life. Having explored how Stoic virtues can guide us in acquiring and using wealth ethically, and understanding that money itself is neither good nor bad, it's time to delve into a fascinating case study: Seneca the Younger. Seneca was a statesman, a playwright, and notably a Stoic philosopher, who also happened to be immensely wealthy. His life offers us a unique perspective on how Stoicism and wealth can coexist. But how did Seneca reconcile his considerable fortune with his Stoic beliefs? Let's dive into the paradox of Seneca, the wealthy Stoic. First, a bit of background on Seneca. He lived in Rome from around 4 BC to 65 AD, and was not just a philosopher, but also an advisor to Emperor Nero. Seneca was undeniably wealthy. His estates and possessions were vast, and by any measure of his time, or even by today's standards, he was rich. However, it's worth noting that his wealth, to a large extent, was entangled with the political complexities and moral ambiguities of his time. He was a man navigating a landscape of extreme power dynamics and ethical challenges, which ultimately led to his forced suicide by the emperor he advised. Consistent with Stoic philosophy, Seneca considered wealth to be an indifferent, something neither good nor bad in itself. His views on money aligned with the core Stoic principle that external things are not the source of human virtue or vice. In one of his letters he said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." For Seneca, it wasn't having wealth that was problematic, but the insatiable desire for it. The Stoic concern with wealth primarily revolved around the mindset of the possessor, how it was acquired, how it was used, and most importantly, whether one's happiness was dependent on it. Seneca emphasized repeatedly in his works that the ultimate aim should be virtue. No man can live a happy life, or even a supportable life, without the study of wisdom, he wrote. Despite his enormous wealth, Seneca practiced what he called philosophical exercises, such as periodic fasting and other forms of self-deprivation, to remind himself that he could be content with much less. He actively trained himself to be indifferent to his wealth, even while enjoying it. Seneca was acutely aware of the power and responsibility that came with wealth. He acknowledged that money could be used in ways that were virtuous or vicious. One might argue that Seneca attempted to use his wealth in a manner that aligned with Stoic virtues. He funded public works, supported the arts, and invested in intellectual and social endeavors. He viewed his wealth as a tool to enact his Stoic values on a broader scale. Seneca wrote, "We should so steer our own course that our life will be a matter of rational planning and purposeful behavior." It can be argued that his use of wealth was a manifestation of this Stoic commitment to rational planning and purposeful action. However, it would be intellectually dishonest not to address the controversies surrounding Seneca's wealth. Critics argue that his vast estate was accumulated through his close association with Nero, who was infamous for his tyranny. Moreover, some of Seneca's wealth was accrued through money lending at exorbitant rates in Britain, which led to public unrest. How can these actions be reconciled with Stoic virtue? The truth is, they can't be entirely. Yet Seneca himself was keenly aware of his imperfections, stating in his letters that he was writing not as a perfect Stoic, but as a man on the path to wisdom, fraught with his own challenges and failings. The life of Seneca presents a nuanced and complex relationship between Stoicism and wealth. On one hand, he epitomizes the Stoic ideal that external wealth is indifferent, and that virtue is the highest good. On the other hand, His life also serves as a cautionary tale of the moral complexities and ethical dilemmas one might face when wealth and power are in play. His case teaches us that the Stoic path is not one of unequivocal answers, but rather one of continuous moral and ethical navigation. It demonstrates that even within the framework of Stoic philosophy, wealth can exist without compromising virtue, provided it is pursued and used in alignment with Stoic principles. However, it also serves as a poignant reminder that the quest for virtue is fraught with real-world complications and challenges, requiring constant vigilance and introspection. In the intricate dance between Stoicism and the acquisition of wealth, Seneca stands as a towering, if not complex, figure. His life serves as both an inspiration and a warning, challenging us to examine our own values, methods, and ultimate goals as we navigate the murky waters of morality, power, and wealth in our times. The concept of control is pivotal in Stoic philosophy, so much so that it gives us one of its most important tools, the dichotomy of control. This Stoic principle teaches us to differentiate between what we can control and what we can't. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, summarized it beautifully. We cannot control external events, but we can control our reactions to them. But what does this mean in the context of wealth creation and management? How can we apply this ancient principle to the modern pursuit of financial success? The dichotomy of control asks us to divide our concerns into two categories: things we can control and things we can't. At first glance, this seems straightforward, but it holds profound implications for our emotional and financial well-being. What we can control, according to Stoicism, are our own actions, thoughts, and feelings. What we can't control are external circumstances like the economy, stock market fluctuations, or even what others think of us. By focusing on what we can control, we free ourselves from the emotional turmoil often accompanying unexpected life events. We learn to place value on our inner resources, rather than externals that could be taken away from us at any moment. When it comes to wealth creation, the dichotomy of control suggests that our energies are best spent on things within our realm of influence. These include our skills, knowledge, work ethic, and financial literacy, key components that contribute to wealth creation. Consider entrepreneurship, for instance. The success of a new venture is subject to myriad factors, such as market demand, competition, and economic conditions, all of which are beyond your immediate control. What you can control, however, is the quality of your product or service, your business strategy, and the integrity with which you operate. If the business fails for reasons beyond your control, the dichotomy of control teaches us to evaluate, learn, and pivot, rather than wallow in despair or frustration. This Stoic principle also offers guidance on managing existing wealth. Investment markets are notoriously volatile, subject to a multitude of factors ranging from political events to natural disasters. While you can't control market behavior, you can control how well diversified your portfolio is, your reaction to market volatility, and your overall investment strategy. By focusing on these controllable aspects, you manage your risk more effectively. The dichotomy of control isn't just about focusing on actionable elements, but also on emotional regulation. Financial decisions are often fraught with strong emotions like fear and greed, leading to impulsive decisions that might not align with long-term goals. By applying Stoic teachings, we learn to detach our emotions from our financial choices, leading to more rational and thoughtful decision-making. Let's talk about economic downturns, a situation where many people feel they have lost control. Stoicism teaches us to accept the reality of the situation and focus on constructive steps within our control. This could be as simple as cutting unnecessary expenses, reskilling to enter a different job market, or even taking the time to reevaluate what truly matters in life. It's about finding a sense of internal wealth even when external wealth seems to be dwindling. The dichotomy of control equips us with a powerful lens through which we can view our financial lives. By applying this Stoic principle, we not only become more effective in wealth creation and management, but also learn to navigate the inherent uncertainties of life with composure and rationality. We turn our focus inwards, to the vast realm of possibilities within our control, steering clear from the paralyzing anxiety that comes with fixating on what lies beyond our grasp. It doesn't mean that we ignore external factors. Rather, we approach them from a place of emotional and rational strength, making the best possible decisions in the pursuit of both material and immaterial wealth. In this way, the Stoic dichotomy of control serves as a grounding tool, continually bringing our focus back to what truly matters and what is genuinely within our power to influence. From the Stoic guidance on virtues to the dichotomy of control, our understanding of Stoicism's approach to wealth has been building up layer by layer. But what role does contentment play in this tapestry? One might think that contentment and ambition are at odds with each other, that being satisfied with what you have can smother the drive to achieve more. However, Stoicism, with its nuanced view on human emotions and aspirations, teaches us that contentment and ambition can coexist. In this section, we will explore how a Stoic sense of contentment aligns with the pursuit of wealth, and how this is not a contradiction, but rather a balanced, holistic approach to life and financial well-being. The Stoic ideal of contentment. Stoicism teaches us to find contentment in our current circumstances by focusing on our internal world, our virtues, and the things within our control. The idea is not to abandon our goals and settle for mediocrity, but to detach our happiness and sense of self-worth from external outcomes. In this way, contentment becomes a grounding force, a stable emotional state that allows us to operate in the world without being tossed about by the winds of fortune. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, said it best: "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." This attitude is not one of complacency, but of peaceful acceptance of the present moment while keeping an eye on the future. The focus is on being content with the journey, irrespective of the destination. But doesn't contentment kill ambition? Quite the contrary. When we are content with what we have, it frees up emotional bandwidth to pursue our goals with clarity and focus. There is a sort of liberating paradox in Stoic contentment. By being satisfied with what we have, we actually create a fertile ground for achieving more. When the constant need for more is absent, what remains is a pure form of ambition. Ambition not born out of lack or envy, but out of the genuine desire to engage with the world in a meaningful way. Let's talk about this in the context of wealth. Say your goal is to achieve financial independence. The conventional approach might involve constantly worrying about money, compulsively tracking every cent, and enduring a lot of stress until you reach your financial target. But a Stoic would approach this differently. According to Stoic philosophy, financial independence is a worthy goal, but your well-being shouldn't be postponed until that goal is achieved. Instead, you can be content with your current state while taking reasoned, consistent actions towards your financial goals. You can manage your budget, invest wisely, and make career moves, all without the anxiety that usually accompanies these activities. Why? Because your sense of contentment is not tied to your financial status. Balancing the internal and the external, the material and the immaterial. It is entirely possible to be content while striving for more, to be ambitious while being grounded. This balancing act is what Stoicism champions. It equips you with the emotional and intellectual tools to strive for wealth or any other external goal without becoming a slave to it. your wealth becomes an extension of your life's purpose, not the purpose itself. The Stoic approach to contentment serves as a buffer against the highs and lows of life, against the unpredictable swings of fortune. It provides the emotional stability to pursue our ambitions, including the acquisition of wealth, in a rational, focused manner. Contentment and ambition in the Stoic worldview are not mutually exclusive, but mutually enriching. Together, they create a potent recipe for a life well lived, a life rich in both material and immaterial wealth. So, as we strive for financial success, let's not forget that the Stoic sense of contentment is the foundation upon which we build our towers of ambition. It's not just about accumulating wealth, but about creating a rich life in every sense of the word. We've explored the Stoic virtues, the role of control, contentment, and other abstract principles that form the Stoic perspective on wealth. Now, let's bring this down to the ground level. How do we translate these high-level ideas into day-to-day financial strategies? What are the practical steps you can take to manage and grow your wealth while staying true to Stoic principles? From the virtues of frugality to the wisdom of long-term planning, let's discuss some Stoic-inspired financial strategies that you can apply right now. Frugality, the Stoic art of living simply. One of the most immediate applications of Stoicism to personal finance is the practice of frugality. Stoicism teaches us to live according to nature, to focus on our needs rather than our wants. Frugality doesn't mean living a life of deprivation. Rather, it's about eliminating the non-essentials to make room for what truly adds value to our lives. Financially, this can have a transformative impact. Imagine the money saved from dining out less often or from canceling subscriptions to services that you barely use. Over time, these savings can be significant, offering you more financial freedom and less stress related to money. It's not about penny pinching, but about maximizing the value you get from your financial resources, an idea deeply aligned with Stoic teachings. Long-term planning, a Stoic future focus. Stoicism is not just a philosophy for the present moment, but also guides us to consider the long-term implications of our actions. The Stoic emphasis on wisdom and prudence translates well into financial long-term planning. Saving for retirement, creating an emergency fund, and investing wisely for the future are all actions that align with Stoic values. These practices require discipline, foresight, and a detachment from immediate gratification, qualities nurtured by a Stoic outlook on life. By preparing for the future, we embody the Stoic virtue of wisdom, applying our rational faculties to secure not just current but future well-being. This is financial prudence at its best, the perfect blend of Stoic wisdom and modern financial planning. Avoiding debt, the Stoic view on financial obligations. Debt is another crucial area where Stoic principles can offer valuable insights. Stoicism teaches us to minimize dependencies and to maintain our freedom. In that light, accumulating debt can be seen as a form of enslavement, binding us to financial obligations that restrict our choices and freedom. Of course, not all debt is avoidable or even bad. A mortgage, for example, can be a strategic financial decision. However, the Stoic caution against unnecessary debt serves as a valuable counterbalance to a culture often eager to spend beyond its means. By avoiding consumer debt and paying off loans as quickly as possible, you're not just practicing financial responsibility, you're reclaiming your freedom in a Stoic sense. Investing with virtue, ethical financial choices. Lastly, let's touch upon investing. Stoic philosophy places great emphasis on ethical conduct and social responsibility. Thus, it's not a stretch to argue that a Stoic approach to investing would be mindful of these ethical dimensions. Socially responsible investing options like ESG, environmental, social, and governance funds can align well with Stoic values. This form of investment allows you to contribute to societal well-being while also potentially enjoying financial returns. So these are a few ways in which Stoic philosophy can inform and guide your financial strategies. Frugality, long-term planning, avoiding unnecessary debt, and ethical investing are not just sound financial practices, but also acts of Stoic virtue. They allow you to live a life that's not just affluent in financial terms, but also rich in ethical and emotional well-being. Adopting Stoic principles in your financial strategies allows for a holistic approach to wealth creation and management. It's not just about the numbers in your bank account, but about crafting a life that's financially, ethically, and emotionally balanced. And it's this balanced, holistic approach that makes the Stoic philosophy so enduring and so incredibly relevant in our times, guiding us toward a form of wealth that is both sustainable and deeply fulfilling. By applying these practical Stoic financial strategies, you are not merely surviving in the financial arena, you're thriving in it, grounded by virtues and guided by wisdom. It's Stoicism in action, bringing ancient wisdom to modern wealth management. As we journey through the interconnected worlds of Stoicism and wealth, it's essential to understand how Stoic principles hold up in the complex, fast-paced landscape of modern wealth creation. We're living in a time where the potential for gaining and losing wealth has accelerated dramatically. Startups, cryptocurrencies, and the volatile stock market are very much part of the modern vernacular of wealth, which begs the question, how do Stoic values align, or perhaps clash, with contemporary notions surrounding money and success? Let's delve into this interesting juxtaposition. Traditional Stoic values versus modern societal values. The traditional Stoic values of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance often seem at odds with modern society's relentless focus on material success, social status, and immediate gratification. While Stoicism promotes the virtues of restraint, moderation, and ethical living, the contemporary financial landscape often extols risk-taking, rapid growth, and the amassing of wealth as markers of success. The discord is apparent, but it's not as irreconcilable as it may seem at first glance. Many successful modern entrepreneurs, for instance, demonstrate Stoic virtues, whether they label them as such or not. The courage to innovate and disrupt established norms, the justice to lead ethically, and the temperance to avoid succumbing to greed or short-term temptations, these are all Stoic qualities that can serve one well in the contemporary business world. Startups are often described as roller coasters, with highs of innovation and growth and lows of uncertainty and failure. It's an environment where the Stoic dichotomy of control can serve as a compass. Founders who focus on factors within their control, like the quality of their product, the ethics of their business dealings, and the well-being of their employees, are often more adaptive and resilient. Stoic virtues also play a role: the courage to take calculated risks, the wisdom to pivot when needed, and the justice to build a business that is not just profitable, but also socially responsible. In this volatile context, Stoic teachings act as a grounding mechanism, enabling individuals to maintain their equilibrium irrespective of external circumstances. While startup culture often glorifies workaholism and unchecked ambition, a Stoic perspective would challenge this, advocating for a more balanced and sustainable approach to business, one that values not just financial gains but ethical and philosophical consistency. In a world subject to rapid financial changes and uncertainties, Stoic philosophy provides tools for emotional and financial resilience. Whether it's an economic downturn, a sudden market crash, or any unexpected financial turbulence, Stoicism teaches us to revert to our inner fortress, to the things within our control. It instructs us to be cautious but not overly conservative, to take risks but not gamble, and to embrace change but not chase every trend mindlessly. In this way, Stoic philosophy can serve as a grounding force in the whirlwind of modern financial complexities. The Stoic principles that guided individuals in ancient times are surprisingly adaptable to the complexities of modern wealth creation. They offer a balanced approach, allowing for ambition and growth, but keeping these impulses in check with virtues like wisdom and temperance. As we navigate the high-speed avenues of startups, crypto, and other modern financial phenomena, the calming, rational tenets of Stoicism provide a much-needed balance, ensuring that we don't lose sight of what truly matters in the pursuit of wealth. By understanding how this philosophy interacts with the modern engines of wealth creation, we can strike a nuanced balance between pursuing material gains and maintaining ethical, emotional, and philosophical integrity. This, in essence, is the Stoics' guide to navigating the complex financial landscapes of the 21st century. A guide that champions neither reckless ambition nor resigned passivity, but a reasoned, virtuous, and balanced pursuit of wealth in all its forms. As we conclude our exploration, it becomes increasingly evident that the Stoic view of wealth offers a nuanced, yet incredibly relevant framework for our modern age. Stoicism doesn't outright reject the idea of financial prosperity, rather it places it within a broader context of human well-being. The Stoic path to wealth is neither one of asceticism nor of unbridled materialism, but a middle way that champions the harmonious development of material, ethical, and spiritual wealth. In today's fast-paced world of startups, cryptocurrencies, and volatile financial markets, Stoic wisdom serves as an ethical and emotional compass. It encourages us to approach wealth as a part of life that can be mastered, just like any other, through the cultivation of virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. It prompts us to take control where we can, while teaching us to maintain our equanimity in the face of circumstances beyond our control. Stoicism and wealth are not mutually exclusive, but the pursuit of the latter must always be aligned with Stoic virtues for one to attain true happiness and prosperity. As we've seen, this ancient philosophy's guidelines for achieving a wealth of the soul can be seamlessly integrated into modern strategies for financial planning, risk assessment, and even investment. The ultimate takeaway is that the Stoic philosophy, with its 2,000-year-old wisdom, can guide us towards a life where we are wealthy not just in material possessions, but also in virtue, contentment, and overall well-being. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This timeless insight is perhaps the cornerstone of a life well lived, as it urges us to redefine our notion of wealth, to align it with virtue and wisdom, and thus to truly enrich our lives in a manner that is both profound and lasting. This is a path not just to financial security, but to a richer, more meaningful experience of life itself.